Good morning! I know I don't look like an insomniac at all because it's 9ish and I'm still not out of bed. But just 6 months ago, for around 3 months, I couldn't get a night of good sleep. If you're in the same boat, let me share with you my tried and true nighttime routine. I had the kind that made it hard to fall asleep sometimes, but my biggest struggle was to stay asleep. Let me take a shower first, and I'll show you the things that I tried in the first month that I did not love. So these are the popular things that I've tried. The first thing is melatonin. This stuff puts you to sleep, but not the good kind of sleep. Every single time I took this, I had wacky dreams. It basically made me feel like I was trapped in a different reality and my eyes were so closely shut that I couldn't escape from it. Not a good feeling. And because of that, I felt groggy and emotional the morning after, so I probably would not recommend this. The second thing was magnesium pills. There was a study that said magnesium could help with falling asleep faster, staying asleep longer, and reducing nighttime awakening, so I gave it a try. And I wanted this to work so bad, but unfortunately it did not do anything for me. Another thing I tried was cannabis-infused edibles. This fun stuff works, but it's very easy to overdo it. I'm not used to consuming a large amount of CBD, and that's why even less than half a gummy would easily knock me out. I would wake up with headaches and restlessness. This would be a great quick fix for most, but I personally did not enjoy the hassle and the risk of potentially having rebound insomnia after quitting. After 2 months in, I was prescribed sleeping pills by the GP, but I held it off. I wanted to find a sustainable solution before coking myself up with more sedative. And that's how I started my mission to build better sleep hygiene. To find a nighttime routine that works best for you, let's first talk about why we can't sleep. I discovered this awesome book from Value Village, which explains eloquently how sleeping works and what would cause sleep disorders. And I learned that there are 2 things that influence wake and sleep. The first is our 24-hour circadian rhythm, which is the biological clock that signals when to rise and fall. This clock is regulated by the sunlight, so most of us would naturally wake up at sunrise when our melatonin level dissipates and wind down at night as melatonin is released. The second is a chemical called adenosine, which builds up as the day goes and creates sleep pleasure that makes us sleepy. Both of these can be affected by external factors such as the environment or habits, as well as internal factors like psychological triggers or physical health. So, to improve our sleep quality, we need to figure out if our insomnia is caused by internal, external, or both factors. I had depression at the time, and sleep disorders are pretty common symptoms. I also suspected long COVID or sleep apnea because I was experiencing shortness of breath. Regardless, see a doctor to get a proper diagnosis if you've experienced insomnia for more than 2 weeks. So my wind down bedtime routine centers around relaxation. I also discovered simple ways to optimize the bedroom environment for better sleep, and here's my bedtime drill. It's 9 p.m, the sun is completely down, and I have 3 hours before bedtime. After 9 p.m, I make sure to turn off all white lights and switch to warm yellow lights. I also switch all of my screens to night mode and reduce the brightness. This is because harsh white and blue LED lights fool our body into thinking the sun hasn't set yet, which delays the release of melatonin. To initiate sleep, our core body temperature would have to drop by 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit or 1 degree Celsius. So at this time, I would also adjust the room temperature to 68. Other ways you can do to reduce your core body temp include wearing comfy clothes or wash your hands and feet with cool water before bedtime. Another thing you can do is to remove visible clocks from your view to prevent clock watching anxiety. These are just extra things I do to set the tone for my slumber, but I love to light up some scented candles. or spray some pillow mist. A good natural aroma has become a signal of bedtime for me. The book also listed emotional concerns and emotional distress as common triggers. Anxiety in particular makes our nervous system overactive, which increases heart rate, blood flow, metabolic rate, and brain activation, making it difficult to have a restful sleep. You're gonna find tips for relaxation all over the place. I personally like to make myself a hot cup of herbal tea a couple of hours before bedtime, but not too late, so I don't need to run to the washroom. If I were to read or scroll my phone in bed, I would sit up and wrap this neck pillow around. This is a handmade pillow I bought from a local crafter, which is filled with lavender buds and buckwheat. In winter, I toss this in the microwave to warm it up for like 30 seconds. And it's incredible for relaxing my neck and shoulders. Plus, it smells amazing. When I'm done with the phone, I put it to charge on a wireless charger to prevent myself from doom scrolling overnight. And around 20 minutes before I turn off all the lights, I like to do some stretches to deeply relax my tense muscles. My acupuncturist taught me that my anxiety is largely induced by tensions around my neck, shoulders, and chest, which send feedback to the brain that I was stressed. There are lots of stretching exercises you can find online, but I personally like to do lazy ones that can be done while laying down. Let me show you. Lie on your back. Then start tilting your head slowly until the neck muscle feels a bit stiff. You can then use the tips of your fingers to press and pull slowly from the back to the front towards your neck. The combination of press and pull will stretch the muscle tissues more deeply. I also sit an awful lot during the day, so I like to do some spine and hip stretch. When I'm done with all the stretches, I like to do a meditative breathing exercise that my acupuncturist taught me. After catching COVID, I had to learn how to breathe properly again. It is definitely an acquired skill. I find that the practice of taking slow, mindful breath really helps with regulating my intrusive thoughts and falling into sleep naturally. At this point, I would have had my lights off, but I will leave them on for the sake of demonstration. Get comfy, close your eyes, then hold your breath for a few seconds. You will feel a tingling sense in the palm of your hands and even pulsations as your heart is beating. Once you've got a hang of that feeling, start breathing in and out very slowly. The breath should be very gentle so that your chest and shoulders would stay relatively still. Focus on your breath and heartbeat as you decelerate mentally, until you slide gently into a restful slumber. Of course, a nighttime routine only works if you're consistent. The methods might not work at first try, but as long as you don't give up and keep exploring new ways to improve your sleep hygiene, you will eventually make it out. Have a sweet sleep, my internet friends. Peace and love.